your mindset must have shifted being in prison and being a comedian. I want to know, like, short-term goals, what they were that ended you in prison versus what your long-term, financial, meaningful gratification is these days after being, in jail versus being out of jail, short-term versus long-term. How are you processing this?
So you asked the question, my short-term goal that got me in prison.
Yeah. Well, how short-term versus long-term has changed?
I don't think that I didn't have a goal when I was in the street hustling. It was that's an endless goal. Like it wasn't a set amount of money I wanted to make, or I didn't have I'm gonna do this for this amount of time. I'm gonna do it until I'm tired of doing it, or until I get busted, or until somebody kill me. That was the
There
mindset.
was no game plan. It was just wake up and hustle.
I don't think any. And let me frame this, because when I talk, I've learned to put it in the proper era. See, because it's different eras of the game. So in my era, I started selling dope in 1987. So in 87, I don't have a end game for this. Now if I would have went past 19, if I would have been in my 20s selling dope, I probably would have had, I want to make this and then get out this. But I'm 19. Mm-hmm. I'm 14, 15, 16, 17. Man, I'm just making the money, and it wasn't continuous. Like I sold, then I stopped, and then at 16 is really when it went crazy for me. Like I'm a real street dope boy with a lot of bread, and I'm 16 years old. Mm-hmm. So when you 17 and you got about $400,000 and you 17 years old, and don't nobody even know that you have this money, and you riding around in a 79 Monte Carlo with $30,000-$40,000 in the trunk at all times, I don't have any end goals. Like, my boys went to school.
The end goal, he reaches, when you start in that game, I feel like if you're good, you reach the end goal pretty quick. Like, you start to make decent money, right?
Yeah, nah,
and that's a good question, too.
That's a patient thing, too. It's
exactly,
like,
that's the question, yeah.
You start off hustling. Like, I heard, when I listen to people talk about anything that I've been a part of, whether going to prison, whether doing a special, I don't care what it is. If I know the process of it, I just listen and be like this. Oh wow, that's pretty quick, to do it. But the era. So New Jack City came out in 1991.
Wesley Snipes.
Just think, I've been selling dope in 1987.
Wow.
So I was influenced by New Jack City. And
Nino Brown.
They didn't have, in the movie, they didn't have a goal. They just selling. Just like with Frank Lucas and Frank Matthews. Frank Matthews was like, he's the only drug dealer that never got caught. And he was a part of the French Connection. So, not Frank Lucas, Frank Matthews, two different people. He didn't have an end goal. Like, there's no end goal in the drug game. And when I hear people say, well, I was going to do this to get this, I was like, what age were you that you had this wherewithal to...
Right.
I'm still trying to figure out how to get away from the cops.
So ultimately, there was no end in sight. There was no game plan. There was no goal. It was just wake up and grind.
The police had the end game. Like, one of these days, we're going to catch him and stop him.